5 minutes.
I thank the chairman. Gosh, 5 minutes is never going to get it, but we'll start. To all the witnesses, when it comes to advancements in water and geothermal power technologies, how important, or have you considered, is it important the role of international collaboration? First question. If so, who are our main international collaborators in this space? And thirdly, who are our competitors? Dr. Saline, I'll start with you.
That's a great question. In terms of geothermal, we've actually been very active in working with New Zealand. New Zealand's been helpful in supplying data for us to actually do some machine learning AI type projects, so we have an agreement with them. But the geothermal office is also working directly through Geothermica, which is working with the EU and essentially leveraging both resources to provide some shared projects. So we've actually been working with them, and they've been.
So it's important we've got the collaboration with those. Who are our competitors?
From what I understand, of course, China is pursuing all areas of energy.
Well, I'm sure they're going to convert their coal plants to geothermal.
I did want to mention, though, also on the water power side, they're very involved internationally, and we're actually hosting, for the first time ever in the U.S., the international conference next year related to marine and ocean energy. And that's a great opportunity for the U.S. to show leadership.
Let me jump over to Dr. Robertson. Important? Is it important international collaboration?
Without a doubt. It's key. You know, we need to leverage every dollar in every part of the world to facilitate the development of this industry. And there are huge lessons learned that can be done that. So over the past year, I've traveled to our main competitors, which competitors and collaborators would be Canada, the EU, and Australia. There are other countries who are spending significant dollars in this place, in this space. I would say the U.S. plays a leadership role through the Water Power Technologies Office, understanding that we need to open the aperture of what we consider marine energy to do.
So I need to move on. Dr. Moore, is it important?
It's critical, especially in this enhanced geothermal environment. These are extremely expensive experiments, and we need to leverage what we can. We right now are working closely with China, who has their own EGS experiment.
Are you afraid they will steal our technology?
There's no technology to steal here. We need to learn how to do this.
We already know how to do all this.
I wish we did.
Okay. That's what I'm afraid they're stealing from us. Ms. Richards, how about you? Is it important?
Yes, in terms of China, they're the ones who developed the first oil and gas field into geothermal.
Okay.
So they did it before Texas.
Well, we need to steal that. I mean, we need to talk to them about that technology.
Exactly.
Mr. Cohen.
I think international collaboration is critical, but that's because I'm biased because my job is 100% about international collaboration.
Okay.
I'm the link between our U.S. and Italian operations.
Yeah.
You know, thinking about, you know, collaboration versus competition, there are more projects than money or people right now. And so, you know, there's only outside and there's only collaborative outside. The reason why we're operating in Chile is because there's a positive effort from the Chilean government to build a marine energy business there.
I need to move on if I may, so let me talk about the wave energy that you talked about. Any thought, and I'm from a coastal area, I have the first 3 coastal counties of Texas, starting at Louisiana, that other foreign country, and then going down southwest. So is there any thought to, when you have that kind of a structure and you harness the power of waves, does it reduce the amount of erosion on that beach? Has that been looked at? Do you know?
I don't have any specific expertise in that area, but I can find out for you.
Okay, one would assume that if you harness the power of the waves and slow them down, now the surfers might complain about that, right? They have to get out in front of that barrier to do the surfing. But that's something interesting if you can get back to that.
Well, I suppose to that end, I suppose it depends on the technology. It depends on how far out in the ocean you're talking about.
Sure.
So, you know, with a lot of wave energy technology that we develop, we're pretty far out there.
Well, so what's the distance? You're going to have the infrastructure, the transmission lines, as it were, albeit buried, you know, beneath the waves on the ocean floor. How deep's the ocean floor? How big is the line? What's the mileage? What's the furthest out you all have contemplated going?
We haven't gone too far out. As I said, these technologies are sort of in early stages, but you're talking about in the hundreds of meters to kilometers.
Okay.
So, you know, when you're talking about the Gulf, you know, we have offshore rigs that are
And
those
we're
depths.
going 20 miles to 40 miles out
Right.
with oil export terminals.
And you could piggyback on that infrastructure. I mean,
Well, that's the point.
yeah.
Sure, you betcha. Mr. McNerney and Mr. Robertson, Dr. Robertson had well, that was about the beach erosion. I'm jumping back. Ms. Richards, you talked about injecting the fluid that it was hot, you didn't need it, you could, you brought and you injected it at night and you brought it back during the day. You remember that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Right.
You're going to lose temperature at some point. You're going to have a temperature drop. Have we calculated how much of a heat loss we have at that point?
So there are people who have worked on that, and I can get back with you in more
Okay,
detail.
okay. And then finally, Mr. Robertson, Alaska community, and you're talking about with Congressman Bear about a community in Alaska that had potential project. Well, what's the population of that community?
I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's less than 100,
Less than 100. I would say that's a fairly small-scale plan.
without a doubt.
Yeah. And you said they do diesel power. Are you aware of Newfoundland that I was there about 10 years ago, give or take, and they use a lot of diesel power. Do you know if they still do?
Newfoundland?
Uh-huh.
They do, and they've got their large-scale hydro system that they're also building. But it's part of the value of these small communities is that we can build economies of scale and we can build small prototypes that are cheaper.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to keep it, buddy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And